Hey guys, welcome to the Gem State Angler. I'm Layne. Today, back to Jet Boat 101, Jet Boats 101. If you haven't guessed it yet, this is about outboard jets, so I'm sticking to that. I'm not talking about, there's a lot of crossover when you get to inboard stuff, but not with the actual motor part, but driving and stuff like that could be more similar, some other things you gotta watch out for. But anyway, we're gonna pull this apart, we're gonna show you everything on the inside, and how it goes back together, things you got to watch for on maintenance. It's going to be a quick, easy video just kind of covering what's in here, and there's nothing to be scared of when you see it on the dealer lot. So let's go ahead and let's jump in. All right, y'all, real quick, we're going to talk about the reverse gate, then we'll move on to the internals of the motor. So reverse gate, you got this plate here, so here's your cable, okay, so this is your ship cable. Let me just move you up a little bit more, that way you can see it a little bit better. There we go. There we go, okay. All right, so you got your ship cable here, mounts to this triangle here, bracket, which I need to do a little bit of adjustment on. Here's your shift plate, and you can see how this moves, okay? So actually mine, the way it came from the factory, I'm still working on it to make sure that it still locks up and forward, which I'll show you in a second. But neutral should be about right there. And so I need to do a little bit of adjustment on this right here, no big deal. Just loosen up, you see there's a little play in that cable. So we'll get that adjusted up so I have a little bit better neutral, because right now it pushes pretty hard and forward when you're supposed to be in neutral, which is a common jet thing. Don't expect a true neutral on a jet ever. Okay, so yeah, you got your shift cable linkage here. This is usually fine when you get below freezing, when you get down to like that 20, 15 degrees out duck hunting and stuff. You will get some freezing on this shift cable here. I always carry a torch in the boat with me in the wintertime. And then so what you do, watch these rubber ends here, just torch that, it'll thaw it out, and you're good to go. Okay, so yeah, so you got a shift plate here. We'll show you forward, neutral, reverse real fast. When you do end up braking, hitting the bottom, this is another area down here that can take a strike. So when you're in forward, this swings up. A lot of people break this mount right back here. So you really want to make sure your jet pump height is set right, and the tunnel really alleviates that, that issue, where you'll probably end up breaking the lower part of your jet foot over the actual linkage in the brackets here that are all casted into this aluminum here. Which you can get it welded, no big deal, you can get it fixed. So yeah, so I'll show you forward and reverse now. So right now we're going to shift into forward. You'll see how the gate swings up and under and locks in. Okay, so now we're in full forward. And mainly all you want to do here is, if you install this yourself or you want to double check, or you're having an issue of it popping out of forward and going to neutral, make sure when you push down back here on the front, it's locked in. So right here, and doesn't swing out on you. You got to be locked all the way down in here, which is more important than neutral. So as I make these adjustments that I'm going to make, which I'm not going to show you that today, but when I make the adjustments, that's the one thing I'm going to check and make sure is I get a good forward lock, because you don't want this thing popping open when you're going 30 miles an hour. Okay, so reverse. And that's reverse. I'm going to walk you over here so you can see. So when reverse, what it does, keeps your exhaust open, but covers all the way around that forward jet propulsion, wraps it into here, and throws it out the back, and reverses really well, steers really well, does a great job. All right, let's move on to the rest of the jet pump. All right, guys, so let's come down to the bench here and go through the parts of a jet pump. And we'll kind of show you this is more anything you're really going to have to get into, basically, is all that's here. And it's, you know, not going to be right at the start, but eventually you're going to wear some of these things out and you'll have to work on them. So I'm trying to get the camera angle. Hopefully you guys can see pretty good. It looks like I have everything in the shot at least. Okay, so let's start actually at the bottom. Okay, so this is your foot. Okay, so in here, you got crossbars. These will get bent. I'll tell you right now, most of us, you can take a pair of pliers, bend them back straight. If you're going over gravel, you're going to bend these. You're going to get gravel stuck in them. So you can just bend them back and then run it, you know, until they get so bad that you have to replace them, but they can go quite a long time, up into including on each side of here. Okay, you can see those two holes. Okay, in there are set pins. If you don't have any intake fins or anything like that are bolted on, they're just set pins. So what you'll do is you take a punch, boom, boom, knock that out. I didn't do it for the purpose of this video because I didn't want to have to put it all back together, to be honest. It's pretty easy though, because you just drop these in and then drive your set pins back in. But yeah, they're easy to remove. You can pull them out. You can get them on a flat surface, pound them out with a mallet, and get them back straight again and put them back in. You can make these last a good long time, but they're cheap enough to replace if not. As for the foot, this is cast aluminum. There are poly options too. The problem with a poly foot is if you ram it hard enough, you're going to break the midsection on your motor instead of the lower. So they do hold up. They're hitting gravel and rocks a lot, but you do have that chance of bending your shaft, breaking your midsection, or having some catastrophic issue that's going to cost a lot more money than replacing this foot, even though this foot is expensive. Most common breaks on a foot you're going to see are going to be these back corners here and in the back here. That's because when the foot's riding, it's going to be at kind of a angle like that towards the front of the boat, right? So trim down, you're going to be at an angle. Try to get this angle close to right, like that. So this is going to be the part that can contact the bottom. Even with a tunnel, it tends to be just below the bottom line of the boat. To make up for that, when you get into streams and stuff, you can trim up a little bit. It brings this down like this, and you can get pretty level with that tunnel. And then you may cavitate a little bit, but in shallow water, you get kind of an up force of a bubble underneath you from the water pressure. And you can skim over that, and then I trim back down. That's how I keep clear of the foot. So once you have your foot here, it's pretty simple. It's all just like I said, cast. This is going to be your aluminum wear ring right here. This sits in here just like this. Okay, so you just line up the holes, sitting there like this. Okay, so this is the actual wear part where your impeller actually creates a, not seal, it actually sits very closely, but it doesn't actually seal, but where it actually draws the water up into. Your impeller sits just like this in here, of course with proper distance. As it spins, brings water up. As pebbles and rocks and things pass through here, this is going to be your sacrificial part. You're going to start seeing rings in here. You can see I have a couple little rubs in here from just sand, really, is all I've been in so far. It'll last a good long time. You can come in here, you can sand these. Also with the 115/80, 9065, you're going to get an aluminum impeller. With the 150/105, you're going to get a stainless steel. So this aluminum impeller will chip faster and wear faster than a stainless steel impeller. If you have 9065, you don't really see the gains out of stainless. It's a heavy impeller that you do out of a 115/80 or a 150/105. I recommend, if you're keeping a boat a good long time, upgrade this impeller once it goes to a stainless for your 115/80, especially behind an 18 CCJ. They perform beautifully and last a long time. Stainless is harder than aluminum, so you're going to wear out your wear ring and not your expensive impeller. The next thing you're going to have internally to this impeller, okay, you can see there's a key notch in here, okay, and then on your let me see if I get that closer. There you go. On your shaft, you're going to have a flat section, so this rides up against that, and then this keys your impeller, and then that way your impeller will spin, right? You also have this plastic sleeve. Typically, you'll see one or two of these extra included, but they're cheap enough to pick up. Just a plastic sleeve. That's just so your impeller doesn't bond to your shaft over time, so you're able to get it on and off. That's all the purposes this does, is to keep it from the different metals from welding to each other, basically. So that goes in like that. The key, we'll have to put it, we can't put it in right now because it'll just fall through, but when we reinstall the impeller, we'll show you that there. Then and keep in mind, this is the bottom of the impeller, okay? So this is going to be facing this way when it's actually in. I'm going to flip it over for the purposes of this. So when you get a new outboard jet boat, here's how this is going to come, okay? So you're going to have your nut. This is like a lock washer type deal. You fold these wings up and it keeps the nut from backing off. Okay. This is like a keeper, and it's got a little like plastic washer in there that holds these. When you pull your impeller off, that holds these washers on. So the next thing is going to have a bunch of these washers. Okay. So let's see how many are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have 7 washers. So when these are new, they're going to sit on the back. They're not going to be here. They're not serving any purpose right now. They're just on the shaft. As your impeller wears, so again, this is like this, you can take these washers as this wears out here and as your impeller wears and you file down your edge here. And keep in mind, when they say, you know, sharpen your impeller, it's not a sharp edge. It's a pretty blunt edge, but you're going to actually grind those grooves that you get in from the, excuse me, from the sand and the rock. You'll grind those out, but you want to keep it actually a pretty smooth front there so it can actually grab water. You don't want it to be actually sharp. So when it tapers, you can just follow that taper with a file, or you can have a professional do it. So anyway, as this ring wears, you can add once you're out of spec, I can't remember what the spec is, but they have it on outboard jets. Once you're out of spec, you can start adding rings to the top, and what it does is it pushes your impeller on the shaft down, which this is cone shaped, if you can tell, okay? So as you push your impeller down, it reseals with this outer ring. So you'll wear up here, and then you'll push it down one, you'll wear down here, and so far and so forth. You can go through that, makes this part last longer, and makes this part, which is a wear part, last longer. So I think the next thing to do now is just go ahead, we'll put it back on so you can see how it goes on there. That's essentially how it works. It's a very utilitarian system. It's very easy. There's not a lot going on here. The only thing really that intimidates people about these is going to be filing your impeller, which any outboard jet dealer can do that, can do it pretty cheaply and easily. You can do it with your annual service. But if you see performance loss cavitating after going on a river, such as a shallow river, you're going to want to check this impeller and check this wear ring and see if you got grooves and things like that. Anything you may need to sand up in here, kind of smooth out, or anything on your impeller itself, and maybe you need a dropper ring. And the way you do that is you do it with filler gauges. Again, I don't remember the spec, but it's in all the books. This one's obviously pretty much brand new. It's only been in the lakes and a deep river, so there's no wear to it yet. So let's go ahead and jump down to the back, and we'll show you a couple other things when putting this back together. Okay, so this is going to be the impeller installation. If you saw in my first part of the video, I showed you the shaft and stuff. You could kind of see that square that I was talking about on the shaft there. So all we're going to do now is we're going to line up that impeller with the key shaft there. Sometimes I can do this with the spacer in it. Sometimes you got to take the spacer out. See if this one wants to fight at all. Okay, so that's pretty easy there. Okay, next we'll come with our key. Okay, you see this is like a triangle key. We'll line it up. Sometimes you got to do like a half in, half out type thing. Sometimes you got to pull it all the way out and really get it to go in. There we go. All the way up in there. There we go. Okay, so we got our key in. So push that up all the way to its seated position there. And there we go. Impeller is in. Now I have it tilted up pretty far, which is why this isn't falling. But do not think that it'll just sit in there like that. Okay, so again, the point of these washers, I want to show you one more time. These washers are very important for overall use of a jet boat. Okay, so all our washers are going on the outside, which means they're doing absolutely nothing. If I was to take a couple of these washers, what that will do is it moves the impeller down. And then you have the cone shaped here. As you move down, you can reintroduce that running surface again, and you're good to go. So these can last a long, long time. Don't replace your impeller just because you have a few grooves in it and you're losing performance. You can actually adjust this down, get some adjustment out of it. Otherwise, you'd be replacing it way more than you need to and spending a lot more of your hard-earned money. So all washers on the outside right now, because we know this is set perfect because it's new. Okay, we're going to push on that keeper. Now the nut keeper, which has a groove in it to line up as well. Push it up. Okay, now our nut. Do not over tighten this. You don't need a reef on it. We're just going to go keeper. So yeah, I just had to line up and go flat there because I can't tighten it any more than that. Okay, for these keepers, you can use, I just use a pair of channel locks, bend them back, down, like that. That'll keep your nut from backing off. Get everything lined up. There we go. Okay, now we're going to install the wear ring. Again, it's cone shaped. Okay, so water parlor cone goes up. I end up with your bolt there. Get it up there seated. Now, I want to go over this, but I want this to fall on my head, but I'm going to touch on it quickly. There is a correct forward and reverse of this, okay? The long nose goes towards the front of the boat. I have seen plenty of these on Facebook mounted backwards. So the long skinny nose on the front, that goes towards the front of the boat. Line it up, wheel it on. And once we do that, I want to capture it with the nut so it doesn't fall on your head. It's not the heaviest thing in the world, but it's not light either. So if you get it in the back, it'll pretty much stay. We're gonna get the front one on here. And then you want to look around and make sure this is seating smooth all the way around when it's pushed up. Sometimes it does get out of alignment, so you want to be out of alignment there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these nuts on, and that's pretty much it. That is the anatomy of an outboard jet. So appreciate you guys for watching. If you like these Jet Boat 101 videos, again, this is another simple one. We got another one coming up. We're going to do loading and unloading a jet boat in the river, just so you can see that. And then we're going to hit the river and we're going to go and run some seams, get some drone shots and stuff of that so you guys can see what we're doing. And I think there was one more I wanted to do also. But I don't know yet where we'll end up on that. But hopefully next few weeks we get it all shot, and then when we get these videos up for you. And again, if you like them, please subscribe. So I'm happy to do this. I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.